It's good but bad. It's enjoyable but bothersome. It's a dark paradise. Hi everyone, welcome to this video. On my channel, I analyze song lyrics very in depth through the lens of literary analysis. Today we are doing the song Dark Paradise by Lana Del Rey. I will make sure to link my Lana Del Rey Analyses playlist. It contains all the songs that I've analyzed so far. Most recently, I've analyzed the song Arcadia, Blue Banisters, both the song and the music video, and Wildflower Wildfire. Feel free to request which song I should analyze next of Lana or any artist in the comments below. As a quick disclaimer, music is very subjective, so everything I present in this video is my own personal opinion. I always encourage you guys to comment your perspective down below. On my channel, I tend to concentrate on diction, which is word choice, and connotation, which can be thought of as the vibes or the emotions that the words elicit. The song title, Dark Paradise, is a very interesting juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is when things are set side by side for the purpose of comparison. The word dark and paradise are pretty opposing. So when I see the word dark, I think of it as dark imagery, which is opposing to light imagery. Light imagery is usually very positive, it's very cleansing, it's illuminating, it can reveal paths to take, it can reveal truths. But dark imagery, which is what we have in the song title, does the literal opposite. It's not going to allow you to see anywhere. It's not going to really allow you to see right next to you, in front of you, much less all the way in front of you. Any paths, any options are not going to be visible to you when you're in a darkness. The darkness could also refer to an internal state, to an emotional or spiritual state. And darkness is not ever associated with paradise, right? Paradise is like heaven. It is the ultimate idyllic place. It's a place where everything is perfect, everything is bright. Paradise should have light associated with it, but in this song, it doesn't. There are opposing energies present. So going into the song, we can assume that there's gonna be like an inverse of some sort present. There's something going on here. Verse 1. In the second verse, we're gonna find out what the context of this song is, so I'm gonna tell you right now before we get into it. In verse 2, there's a line that says, "But I wish I was dead," and then in the background vocals, it says, "Dead like you." It seems like the protagonist of this song, protagonist means the main character, so it seems like the protagonist's significant other has passed away. And we get that confirmation of the context in verse 2. The protagonist is saying that all of her friends are telling her that she needs to move on, but she's not. This is a choice the protagonist is making, and I also think she probably just needs time to grieve and to heal, but we are told that outside influences are telling her that she shouldn't exist in this dark paradise anymore. We aren't given a timeline of how long she's been grieving, but her friends think it's time to move on. "I'm lying in the ocean singing your song." This is really interesting. So she could literally be in the ocean, like, I don't know, on a ship, or just, I don't know, on like a floaty thing if she's by the shore, and she could just be trying to relax. Maybe they had a lot of memories at the beach. That's a possibility. However, I'm interpreting ocean as metaphorical. Oceans are very interesting in a metaphorical sense. On one hand, oceans bring forth water imagery, which is usually very positive. It can be very cleansing. This is also salt water, so it's even more cleansing. However, she is not in the ocean. She's not in the salt water. She's floating on it, right? So I don't know, again, if she's on a ship, if she's on like a floating raft thing that looks like a unicorn or something. What are those called? But she's not like swimming in it. She's not immersed in it or anything. At least I don't think so. When she says lying in the ocean, I think she must be on some sort of flotation device, because if she was just lying on her back in the ocean, I would think it would say I'm floating in the ocean. The ocean is also very mysterious, right? It can be very deep, it can be very dark, you don't know what's under there. It could be a little bit ominous. The ocean is also something that can be dangerous. If there's a storm and you're on a ship, like, where are you gonna go? You're kind of stuck in that situation. Here, I'm interpreting the ocean as being reflective of an emotional state. She is lying in her internal ocean of feelings. She's in her feels. Knowing what we know about what's happened Her ocean is going to be unpredictable right now because grief is unpredictable. Comes in waves. These waves are not going to be forecasted, right? This storm in the middle of the ocean is not going to be on a weather report. It's just going to happen. She's lying down, and that's a vulnerable position. And also, the ocean is just very vast. So her emotional landscape right now is very vast. She's kind of like lost in it. And I say the word lost because a person is very, very tiny in relation to the ocean. She could very easily be overwhelmed by this ocean, by her emotions. She's saying she's lying in the ocean, singing your song. That's how you sing it. I think she's reminiscing. She could be reminiscing on a song they had together. Maybe her ex was a songwriter or a singer and they wrote songs. When she says that's how you sing it, maybe she's singing it stylistically in the way that he sang it. She's doing that to feel close to him, maybe pretending that he's singing it to her, he's serenading her. That's why she's trying to sing it exactly the way that he did. Singing your song could also be metaphorical. It could just be reliving the memories they had together, telling herself the things that he would tell her if he were here now, to comfort her, etc. Loving you forever can't be wrong. Even though you're not here, won't move on. She seems very intent on loving him forever, which I don't think there's anything wrong with loving someone forever. But the way she's singing it here makes me think that she wants to not really move on in her life forever. And that is not healthy. Grieving someone is necessary and healthy, but deciding to not move on in your life for like the entirety of your life, that's a different sort of situation. When she says can't be wrong, this suggests that maybe other people told her it is wrong to do that. She seems kind of defiant in her decision to not move on and to just love him forever in her own way. I want to talk a little bit more about the lyric, even though you're not here, won't move on. I want to concentrate specifically on the diction here, the word won't. The use of the word won't, in my opinion, is very intentional and it changes the meaning of this. Let's compare the word won't to can't, because that could also fit in here, right? Even though you're not here, can't move on. So first, let's talk about the word can't. When you can't do something, it means you're just not able to do it. You have like no power or no choice in that. So for example, if you're invited to an event and you already, have an appointment, you say, sorry, I can't come. It's not possible. You're not able to. However, the word won't suggests that you have options, but you are just choosing not to do something. So you have power and choice. It's kind of just like you're being defiant or you're being very specific in the decision you're making. So going back to the same example, if you're invited to an event, if you say, oh, I won't be coming, that has a different connotation than, I can't come. It has a connotation of aggression. You're specifically choosing not to do something, even though you can. When you put in the word can't in this lyric, even though you're not here, can't move on, you really empathize with the protagonist in a different way, because the protagonist doesn't seem weak, but it seems like she would just be very emotionally stuck and just not have the ability to move forward yet, which would make sense, right? Grieving is a very difficult and painful process. However, the word can't is not in this song, it's the word won't. The word won't here, even though you're not here, won't move on, suggests to me that the protagonist is entering an emotional space where she can move on, but she is making the decision not to. I'm not judging the protagonist for making this decision. Grieving is a very complicated process, and whatever she's deciding to do is coming from a place of pain. So I'm not criticizing the protagonist here, but I just want to illustrate that the word won't is very significant because the protagonist can enter into an emotional space that has less pain. She can start to move on, but she's choosing to stay in the pain. This may be due to loyalty that she feels towards her lost love. She doesn't want to let go yet. And remember, she's seeing him in her dreams. It's kind of like they're still together in a very twisted and dark way because she still has access to him in her dreams. And her saying this, that she won't move on, it could be a subconscious choice. When she says that's how we played it, I think we can interpret that in different ways. It could be referring to music since she was singing his song earlier. Or maybe she's referring to the loyalty they had to one another. Like, that's how we were, that's how we played it. We're always loyal to one another. We have each other's back, that sort of thing. Verse 2. What a verse. And there's no remedy for memory. That's very heartbreaking. There are remedies for a lot of things. If you get depression through the grieving process, there's therapy, there are medications to take. If you feel alone and you realize you have a support system, that's comforting. So that feeling of loneliness can be remedied to an extent. But as far as memories go, there's nothing that can help you with that. Right? She's stuck with the memories. What a bittersweet thing. Your face is like a melody. It won't leave my head. That's such a beautiful lyric. Your face is like a melody. She has his face memorized. His face was like a work of art. It evokes emotion. It's something that you can stare at and interpret. It's something that you won't get tired of, right? It's like your favorite song. This melody is on repeat in her head. It's a catchy melody. It was written really well. Your soul is haunting me and telling me that everything is fine. So she really feels like she's being haunted by him, but not in like a bad way. She feels his presence. I talk about souls a lot in my lyric analysis videos. Talked about it quite a bit in my Blue Banisters lyric analysis, Coney Island, and Ivy by Taylor Swift. I'm not going to get into it too much here because the context is a little bit different, but whenever a soul is mentioned, I take it very seriously because the soul is the purest, innermost part of your being. She doesn't say spirit is haunting me. She says your soul is haunting me. I view the soul and the spirit as similar, but I would view the soul as being more grounded and like more mature and wise. So her using the word soul, this suggests to me that she felt very intimately bonded to him. That piece of diction is really like making me get in my feels. The word haunting usually has a not so positive connotation, but here she's being told that everything is fine. It's like he's trying to reassure her that everything is okay and that perhaps she could move on. So not only are her friends telling her to move on, it appears as though her lost love is also telling her a similar thing. That's how I'm interpreting it, but she doesn't want to move on. She says she wishes she was dead like him. She would rather be like together with him in the afterlife, and you know, I'm speaking metaphorically, than to be alive here without him. Chorus. Every time she closes her eyes, I imagine her thinking about her lost love, looking back on the memories. There's no remedy for that, right? It's a dark paradise. It's paradise because she gets to be with him when she closes her eyes. She gets to pretend that everything is okay for a second or two, but it's a dark paradise because it's not real and it can never be real again. This is strictly a hypothetical situation that she's thinking about in her mind. It's dark because of the context. It's dark because he's no longer here. It's like she has this idyllic daydream that she's with her love and it's sunny and beautiful and they're being cute, being in love. But then as she starts to remember what happened, darkness starts to creep in. And this is very haunting if you visualize it, but darkness starts to creep in. Maybe she was holding his hand in her dream, but she realizes she can't feel it anymore. She realizes that he's not there. Everything is dark, and that darkness is representing, again, the context she's in, but also her feelings, her emotions. Her emotions have come to the surface again, and her emotions, the darkness, are taking over the paradise because this paradise is not real. It is a fabricated paradise. And when you visualize it, it's definitely more emotional. No one compares to you. I'm scared that you won't be waiting on the other side. Right now, she only has eyes for him. She's not ready to move on. She's scared that he won't be waiting on the other side. She's scared that they'll never be together, not even in the afterlife. She just really feels alone. Then we have repetition of those same three lyrics. I always say that repetition signifies significance. I think it's very important when certain phrases are repeated. This is just reiterating the experience that the protagonist has. Every time she relives those memories, it's painful for her, right? It's a bittersweet sort of thing. Verse 3. So all of her friends are asking her why she's so strong, maybe like being strong emotionally, but also strong in her decision to keep loving him and not moving forward. She says that when you find true love, it lives on. The protagonist really wants to preserve this love. Love is a rare thing. True love is a rare thing. And she wants to try to keep it alive for as long as she can. She believes that it lives on. When you find something that rare and special, you can't just get rid of it. Like, where does it go, right? Where does the love go? She believes it goes nowhere. It lives on. So it's the love that is keeping her strong. She says that's why I stay here. That's why she's staying in this state of having access to a dark paradise. If she moves on, she may not have access to the dark paradise the same way she does now. Then we have repetition of verse 2, and then we have chorus part 2. This chorus is similar to the first chorus, but there is just one new lyric, which is the last lyric. I'm going to start from one line prior. It says, "No one compares to you, but there is no you except in my dreams tonight." So it's not like she is living in a false reality where she still believes that her love is alive. She's not in denial. She's very much aware of the situation and she accepts it, but it's just heartbreaking because she's like, no one compares to you, but you aren't here. You only exist in my dreams, in the figment of my imagination, and also in my memories, all intangible places. Then there's repetition of the lyric, "I don't want to wake up from this tonight." The fact that it's repeated shows us that the protagonist really means it and really feels it. She wants to stay in that dream forever so she can be with him, and perhaps this also suggests that she no longer wants to be alive, like she said earlier. I hope that's not the case. I would prefer this to be referring to her staying in that dream. You can interpret it in either way. Bridge. She's saying that 24/7, this is something that she's dealing with. And she says everyone is rushing her to get over it, but she feels so close to him still that she can feel him physically. So she has no relief, no peace, and she has no release, no way to release these emotions. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this bridge. So we're gonna do like a mildly chaotic yet still coherent mind map word web thing that I did a little bit in my Arcadia analysis by Lana Del Rey. First, I want to talk about relief versus release. The definition of relief is a pleasant and relaxed feeling that someone has when something unpleasant stops or does not happen. The definition for release is a freeing from confinement, from pain, from emotional strain. It's a liberation from anything that is restraining you. To me, relief is something that occurs more internally. It's like something within you is being resolved. I kind of think of the recycling emoji, like everything is happening inside of you. There's like a cycle of healing or of, I don't know, problem solving that's happening, and the solution to that problem solving is causing relief. It's like an internal process. However, when I think of the word release, it's in contrast to that. It's achieving calm, but in a different way. It's achieving calm by expelling something outwards, right? We don't even know if like the problem was solved. It's just kind of being kicked out and thrown out. Kind of think about it like maybe if you're like in a club or something and someone's being like rowdy and starting a fight, you can either talk them down and let them chill in the club. That would be going with the connotation of the word relief. Or you don't even talk to them. You just literally get the bouncer to like grab them and throw them out. That to me is aligned with a connotation of release. Release has a bit of a more violent connotation, in my opinion. It's more aggressive. So in this bridge, we go from the word relief to release. So you can view it as a bit of a progression. There's an increase in intensity. There's an increase in violence. It's more aggressive. And we're told that the protagonist has neither of these things. They don't have relief or release. So their internal state is very much, in my opinion, on the brink of flowing over or maybe exploding because the protagonist can't release these emotions. She's not able to kick them out and she's not able to like process them internally either. There's just a lot going on and a person can only endure so much before it starts to manifest in a negative way, in a destructive way. So that to me is very concerning, and I think the use of the diction in this bridge, those two words, to me really indicate that she's not okay. She's approaching a stage in this grieving process which can be very harmful for her, and her emotional state is getting close to a tipping point, in my opinion. Next, I want to talk about the word sleep and the word dreams. So sleep is supposed to be restful and restorative. From a biological standpoint, sleep is very important. It's also when your body heals. So sleep is very positive in like a biological way, right? It's very necessary. However, when you think about sleep in an emotional context, it can be an escape. If you're feeling sad or frustrated or something, you lie down or maybe you want to go to sleep so you can kind of escape the reality you're in. And for our protagonist, she is not getting either of those benefits of sleep, right? Not the biological benefits, the health benefits, but also not an emotional sort of benefit, right? She has no escape from these feelings and this reminiscing. When you go to sleep, sometimes it really is like a getaway, a break from your hardships, but even in her dreams, she sees her love, her lost loves. There is no place externally or internally where she can escape this. Feelings of entrapment are everywhere. She feels trapped everywhere she exists. Now let's talk about the word dreams. So you can dream while you're sleeping, but you can also daydream while you're awake. When you dream while sleeping, you have less control over your dreams. I feel like more of your subconscious mind is involved. You kind of don't really get to pick and choose your dreams. I know there are methods where you can, I think. I don't know. That's a thing, right? I have no idea. But when you daydream, you can have a lot more control about what you're daydreaming about, right? It's more intentional. If you notice you're daydreaming about something you don't like, you can kind of stop it. Like you can sit down and be like, I'm gonna sit and daydream about living in a cottage and wearing cute dresses and drinking tea in a meadow and having like a pet lamb or something. I don't know. You can pick to daydream about whatever you want. I do think there's more intentionality involved with daydreaming. Comment down below what you guys daydream about, like if you want, or if that's too personal, like don't. Up to you. Okay, side note, I don't really daydream about like having a pet lamb, like what would I do with a pet lamb? But I do think about meadows a lot and like literally where do meadows exist? Like are they on Yelp? Like how do I find like a safe, cute meadow? You know? Like I don't know. Anyways, if you know that, comment down below. I would appreciate it. For me, when I look at the word dreams in this bridge, I think about it in both ways. I think this bridge is really signifying that there is no escape for the protagonist. There's no way to get a break from these very strong and heavy emotions. Okay, now let's talk about the full lyric, See You in My Sleep. Again, I think this is talking about dreaming. The significance comes in when you compare See You in My Sleep to Feel You in My Dreams. Because seeing something and feeling something are different, right? Like, look at all these exclamation points that I drew in. It's like literally so important. The diction here, the word feel, is very important because when you see something, it doesn't mean that you're understanding it. It does not mean that you're actually acknowledging it. It's kind of like seeing notes on the whiteboard in your class. Like you're seeing it, but do you really know what like the quadratic formula means? You know what I mean? You have to actually sit there and think about it to understand it. So there is a very significant difference between seeing something and understanding something. I feel like when you feel something, it's a lot more genuine, and I personally think that when you feel something, it shows understanding. It can be like a subconscious sort of understanding, but I do think there is understanding happening. Feeling something is much more pure and there's a lot more depth to it as opposed to seeing something. Now, I do want to talk about different ways to think about feelings. You can feel something in an emotional way, in an intangible way, or in a physical way, right? A tangible way. When you feel something emotionally, you can feel their energy. So the protagonist may be feeling her lost love's energy, feeling their presence. Or they could be feeling them in a physical way, like feeling their touch. Maybe her lost loves always kissed her forehead or something, and she can feel his lips on her forehead. From this song, we know that logically the protagonist knows and accepts that her love is no longer there. But you know, your body, your heart, and your soul usually don't catch up that fast to logic, right? It takes time. And your body has memory too. It can remember the physical things that happen to it, both in a positive and in a negative way. When you think about feeling in both an emotional way and a physical way, it just adds more depth to the song, and it is indicative of the depth of pain the protagonist is feeling. I think the protagonist is feeling all of these things at the same time, and it's just a lot. With all of the words that I talked about right now in the bridge, I'm not really picking which definition fits more. To me, it's all of it. So I think the diction in the bridge is very interesting, and I think there's a lot of value in taking some time to break it down and to think about each of these words individually, figure out what resonates with you the most. I think the protagonist is feeling a lot of different things all at the same time, and she has no escape from them. It's just a lot, and I think this bridge illustrates the intensity of the grief In her sleep, in her dreams, he's everywhere. And he's always telling her that she's okay. So I think that he is okay with her moving on, but she's just not ready to let go yet. Because the things that he's telling her in her dreams don't match with her internal state yet. She's not there yet. Then we have repetition of chorus part 2, and the outro is repetition of the lyric, I don't want to wake up from this tonight. She wants to stay in the dream where she has access to him, and you could also interpret it as a little bit more morbid, that she doesn't want to be alive anymore, but I would prefer not to go there. I would prefer to interpret it as her wanting to stay in her dreamlike state, because that's where she has access to him, and that's where he tells her that everything is okay, even though she's not ready to believe it yet. This is very ironic in a very sad way. She says she doesn't have relief or release because he's in her sleep, he's in her dreams, but she still doesn't want to wake up. That within itself is a dark paradise too, right? It's good, but bad. It's enjoyable, but bothersome. It's a dark paradise. In conclusion, this song is about grief, about knowing you have to let go, but not being ready to. When you think about it, like I explained earlier, as her being in that paradise, but it turning dark and her losing everything, that's very terrifying and very sad, but I think that illustrates how she feels very well. I really like the mention of the ocean. I do think that's reflective of her internal state, and I'm sure that the waves were very big and chaotic for a while. It's just a situation where there is really no resolution for it. The only remedy would just be time. That's all I have for this song. If you have any thoughts, please leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it and to subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.